Jack Hastings' heart pounded in his chest as his spacecraft shuddered violently, its hull groaning against the unexpected gravitational pull of an uncharted planet. Alarms blared around him, red lights flashing urgently. In the co-pilot seat, his friend and fellow astronaut, Lucas, worked feverishly over the controls. "Jack, I've lost the main thrusters," Lucas shouted over the noise. "Try the auxiliary power. We need to land this thing before it breaks apart," Jack replied, his hands flying over the navigation console, attempting to stabilize their descent. Through the viewport, the planet loomed large. Its surface was a swirl of blues and greens, shrouded in white clouds. As they entered the atmosphere, the shaking intensified. Lucas managed a weak grin. "Well, it's not the smoothest entry, but we might just make it." Jack forced a smile back, though his focus remained on the readouts flickering before him. The spacecraft groaned under the strain, but slowly, the shaking eased as Lucas regained some control. "We're going down in that clearing." Jack pointed to a large open area beside a dense forest, visible through the clearing mists. With a skilled hand, Lucas guided the crippled spacecraft towards the ground. The landing was rough. The craft skidded across the field, tearing up clumps of alien grass before finally coming to a halt. For a moment, neither moved, the silence a stark contrast to the chaos moments before. Then, Jack let out a long breath. "Well, we're alive. That's something." Lucas laughed, the sound shaky but genuine. "Alive is good. Let's keep it that way." They donned their exploration suits and checked their gear. Before opening the hatch, Jack looked at Lucas, "Ready to see what's out there?" "As ready as I'll ever be." The air outside was breathable, a lucky break. The landscape was strangely beautiful, with tall, slender trees and plants that shimmered with a metallic sheen. But there was no time to admire the scenery. They needed to find shelter and figure out a way to communicate with their mothership. As they ventured into the forest, the ground beneath them vibrated slightly. Jack paused, signaling Lucas to stop. "Did you feel that?" Lucas nodded, his expression tense. "Something's coming." From between the trees emerged a group of creatures, unlike anything they had ever seen. They were tall, with elongated limbs and skin that seemed to pulse with light. Their faces were obscured by a sort of natural veil, but their eyes, large and luminous, watched Jack and Lucas intently. Jack held up his hands, a universal sign of peace. "We come in peace," he said slowly, hoping the sentiment, if not the words, would be understood. The creatures murmured among themselves, a musical language that echoed through the trees. Finally, one stepped forward. "You are not from here. Why come?" Jack took a cautious breath, choosing his words carefully. "We crashed. We didn't mean to intrude on your world. We need help." The alien's response was immediate. "Come. Queen Sarana will decide your fate." Bound by the situation, Jack and Lucas exchanged a glance, their decision made in the unspoken trust they had always shared. Following the aliens, they walked deeper into the forest, aware that their journey on this mysterious planet was just beginning. As they moved, Jack couldn't help but feel a mix of fear and awe. They were walking into the unknown, under the escort of beings from another world, to meet a queen of a civilization they didn't know existed when they woke up that morning. The weight of the moment was palpable, thrilling yet terrifying. Jack and Lucas were escorted through the forest, the alien landscape unfolding with an ethereal beauty that belied the tension of their situation. The foliage shimmered with a metallic sheen, casting a surreal glow over the path. Their guards, silent and inscrutable, led them toward what appeared to be the center of the civilization. As they approached, the trees gave way to reveal an expansive city built with materials that reflected the sky. The architecture was a blend of natural elements and advanced technology, unlike anything on Earth. At the heart of the city stood a towering palace, its spires reaching toward the heavens. Upon entering the palace, Jack and Lucas were led through ornate corridors adorned with luminescent murals depicting scenes of alien history and culture. They stopped before massive doors, which opened silently to reveal a vast throne room. At the far end, seated on a throne crafted from an iridescent mineral, was Queen Sarana. She was an imposing figure, her presence exuding both grace and authority. Her guards bowed deeply and retreated, leaving Jack and Lucas in the center of the room. Queen Sarana's voice filled the space, melodious yet commanding. "You stand before me, outsiders. Speak your purpose." Jack stepped forward, his voice steady despite the awe he felt. "Your Majesty, we are explorers from Earth. Our ship suffered a malfunction, and we were forced to land. We seek your assistance to communicate with our vessel and ensure our crew's safety." The Queen tilted her head, considering them. "Your journey was accidental, yet you find yourselves at my mercy. What do you offer in return for my aid?" Lucas, who had been silent, spoke up. "We have knowledge of our world, technologies, and cultures. We can share this with you." "A trade, then," the Queen mused. "Your knowledge for my assistance. But first, I must understand more about your kind. You will stay under my watch in the palace." Jack and Lucas exchanged a quick look. "We agree, Your Majesty," Jack replied, knowing they had little choice but to comply. Queen Sarana nodded and clapped her hands. A group of attendants appeared, their attire less ornate but still vibrant. "These are your custodians. They will ensure your needs are met while you are guests in my palace." As they were led away, Lucas leaned toward Jack, whispering, "Think this is a good idea?" Jack shrugged slightly. "Not like we have much of a choice. But it's not every day you get to exchange ideas with alien royalty." Their rooms were adjacent, luxurious by any standard, with views overlooking the city. As they settled in, one of the attendants, named Kale, remained. He was more forthcoming than the guards had been. "You are the first of your kind to walk our paths," Kale said, his tone friendly. "There is much excitement about your arrival." Jack was curious. "How do you all feel about us?" "About humans?" Kale smiled, a glimmering light playing across his eyes. "Curiosity is a trait we cherish deeply. Many wish to learn from you, as much as you wish to learn from us." Over the next few days, Jack and Lucas were invited to various parts of the palace and the city. They met with scholars, artisans, and scientists, exchanging ideas and learning about the alien technology and philosophy. One evening, as they returned to their quarters, Lucas mentioned, "They're surprisingly open with us. Do you think they're genuinely interested, or is there something more?" Jack considered this. "There's always more, Lucas. But I think there's a real chance here for understanding. Let's make the most of it." Their dialogue with the aliens deepened, laying the groundwork for what they hoped would be a fruitful exchange. Little did they know, the real test of their presence on the alien planet was yet to come. Several days into their stay, Jack and Lucas had become familiar figures in the palace's winding corridors and lush gardens. Their daily exchanges with the inhabitants of the city had not only broadened their understanding of this alien culture, but had also sparked a series of innovative ideas on both sides. Yet, the heart of their mission, to repair their ship and make contact with Earth, remained unresolved. One afternoon, while walking back from a discussion on energy conservation technology, they overheard two palace staff whispering in a secluded alcove. "There's been talk about the Forbidden Chamber again," one said, a hint of fear in his voice. "The Queen has increased the guards around that area. No one is allowed near. Not since the incident centuries ago," the other replied. Lucas nudged Jack and nodded towards the alcove. Curious, Jack approached the staff, his demeanor friendly. "Excuse me, I couldn't help but overhear. What is this Forbidden Chamber?" The staff members stiffened, clearly not expecting to be overheard by the human guests. After a hesitant glance at each other, one spoke, "It's not our place to speak of such things, especially to outsiders." Jack smiled, trying to ease their concern. "I understand, but anything you could tell us would be appreciated. We're here to learn and exchange knowledge." Reluctantly, the more talkative of the two nodded. The Forbidden Chamber is said to be the Queen's sanctuary, a place of great power and mystery. No one enters except Her Majesty. Lucas, always intrigued by mystery, chimed in, "What sort of power? Is it dangerous?" "It's old magic," some say. "Ancient technologies lost to time. The Queen keeps it sealed to protect us all," the second staffer added before quickly excusing himself, followed by his colleague. Back in their quarters, Jack and Lucas discussed the chamber. "There's more to this place than they're letting on," Lucas said, His curiosity piqued. A chamber that no one can enter? Sounds like something worth looking into. Jack agreed. Tonight, let's see if we can find this chamber. If there's ancient technology there, it might help us with our ship, or at least give us more leverage in negotiations. Under the cover of night, they navigated the palace's shadowy halls, guided by the vague directions overheard from the staff. They avoided the main paths, using Jack's makeshift map drawn from days of exploring the palace grounds. After nearly an hour of silent maneuvering, they found themselves before an ornately carved door, unlike any other in the palace. Two guards stood before it, their attention fixed forward. Lucas whispered, "That has to be it. How do we get past them?" Jack thought for a moment, then pulled out a small device. Distraction. Follow my lead. He threw the device down the corridor. It emitted a series of soft pings. As the guards moved to investigate, Jack and Lucas slipped past, entering the forbidden chamber. Inside, the chamber was unlike anything they expected. It was not a store of weapons or dangerous technologies, but a garden under a glass dome, filled with plants glowing softly in the moonlight. In the center, a small fountain trickled quietly. "This is it," Lucas murmured, disappointment tinging his words. Jack, however, was fascinated. "Look closer. This isn't just a garden. It's a living archive." He approached one of the plants, its leaves shimmering with a luminescent pattern. "I think these are not just plants. They're data storage, holding centuries of knowledge." As they explored the chamber, marveling at the integration of technology and nature, the door swung open. They turned to see Queen Sarana standing there, not with anger, but a sad resignation. "You should not have come here," she said softly, her voice echoing slightly in the glass chamber. Jack stepped forward. "Your Majesty, we didn't mean to intrude, but we were curious. This place, it's incredible." The Queen sighed. "This chamber holds the heart of our planet's history and also its pain. It's not meant for outsiders, but now that you are here, perhaps it's time for trust to take root." Lucas and Jack listened, captivated as Queen Sarana began to share stories of her world's past, her words weaving a tapestry of triumphs and losses, all preserved in the living archive of the Forbidden Chamber. This night marked a new beginning, not just in their mission, but in the fragile bond between two vastly different cultures. The soft echo of Queen Sarana's footsteps faded as she left Jack and Lucas alone in the luminous garden of the Forbidden Chamber. The air was heavy with the scent of alien flora, each breath carrying the weight of countless histories encapsulated in the bioluminescent foliage around them. "Did you see the way she looked at everything here?" Lucas whispered, his gaze sweeping across the glowing plants. "It's more than just a garden to her. It's a sanctuary." Jack nodded, still processing the Queen's revelations. "She trusts us now, more than before. We should honor that trust and not abuse it." Lucas agreed, but his mind was racing with the possibilities. Imagine what we could learn from this technology. It could revolutionize how we store and process information on Earth. Jack was cautious. "And imagine the consequences if we misuse it. We're guests here, Lucas. Let's not forget that." Their discussion was interrupted by the arrival of Kale, the attendant who had become their frequent companion and guide. "The Queen requests your presence at the morning council. It seems your visit to the chamber last night has sparked a decision." The following morning, Jack and Lucas were brought to the council chamber, a vast, circular room lined with tall windows that bathed the interior in natural light. The members of the council, all key figures in the alien society, were already seated, their eyes curious and wary. Queen Sarana greeted them with a nod. "Jack, Lucas, last night you accessed a part of our heritage that is sacred to us. This chamber is a symbol of our trust in you. Today, we discuss how to move forward." A council member, an elder with a stern face, addressed them directly. "Your presence in the Forbidden Chamber is unprecedented. What assurance can you give that our secrets will remain safe with you?" Lucas spoke up, his tone respectful. "We understand the gravity of what we've seen. You have my word, our word, that will not disclose anything without your explicit consent." Another council member, a scientist with keen eyes, leaned forward. "You are explorers, are you not? What is your primary interest here?" Knowledge or survival? Jack answered honestly, both. We seek to repair our ship and return to our planet, but we are also here to learn from you and, hopefully, share our knowledge in return. The discussion went back and forth, with council members expressing their concerns and hopes. It became clear that Jack and Lucas's visit to the Forbidden Chamber had inadvertently become a test of trust, a test they seemed to be passing. The Queen finally spoke. Your candidness is appreciated. Let us propose an exchange. We offer you access to our knowledge and resources to repair your ship. In return, you will share insights into human technology and culture. This partnership, however, will be bound by strict agreements of confidentiality and respect for our traditions. Jack and Lucas exchanged a glance, mutual understanding passing between them. We agree, Your Majesty. It's an honor to enter into this partnership. With the Council's approval, Jack and Lucas spent the following weeks immersed in an intense exchange of ideas and technologies. They worked alongside alien engineers, learning the intricacies of the advanced technology that could help repair their ship. One evening, as they reviewed the day's progress, Lucas mentioned, I didn't expect to find a second home here. Jack smiled, looking out at the city lights. Neither did I. But there's something about this place. Their respect for knowledge and tradition. It makes you want to be better, doesn't it? Lucas nodded, a thoughtful look in his eyes. It does. And maybe, just maybe, we can bring some of that respect back with us to Earth. As they continued their work, the partnership between the humans and the aliens strengthened. With each shared success and resolved challenge, the bonds of trust and mutual respect deepened, setting a foundation for a lasting alliance that neither side had anticipated. In the weeks that followed, Jack and Lucas found themselves deeply ingrained in the workings of the alien technology, often working late into the night with their counterparts. The collaboration had opened a dialogue that extended beyond mere technology, touching upon philosophy, ethics, and the governance of this alien society. One evening, while they were in the lab tweaking the energy output of their spacecraft using alien technology, an unexpected visitor arrived. It was Kale, looking more solemn than usual. Jack, Lucas, the Queen wishes to speak with you privately tonight, he announced, his voice tinged with a seriousness that immediately caught their attention. The two men exchanged a look, curiosity piqued. Did she say what about? Jack asked, wiping his hands on a cloth. Kale shook his head. Only that it concerns the future of your stay and the knowledge you've accessed. She will meet you in the garden by the Forbidden Chamber. As the sun set, casting a golden glow over the palace, Jack and Lucas made their way to the designated garden. They found Queen Sar'ana waiting for them, her figure silhouetted against the fading light, the Forbidden Chamber looming quietly in the background. Jack, Lucas, she began, her voice calm yet carrying an undercurrent of gravity. Your work here has not gone unnoticed. You've shown great respect for our ways and an earnest desire to understand. Lucas responded, We are grateful, Your Majesty, for the trust you've placed in us. It's been enlightening, working with your people. The Queen smiled faintly, then turned to gaze at the Forbidden Chamber. This chamber, as you know, is very important to us. It's not just a vault of old technologies, but a symbol of our cultural integrity. Tonight, I wish to discuss its deeper significance. Jack listened intently as the Queen shared stories of her ancestors, how they had discovered the technologies that now powered their civilization and the conflicts that arose from such power. The chamber, she explained, was a reminder of those burdens and the responsibilities that came with them. It's a lot like the stories of ancient Earth, Jack commented, drawing a parallel to human history. Great power has always required great responsibility. Yes, the Queen agreed. And like your world, we have faced our own challenges. The knowledge here can bring immense benefit, but also great harm if misused. Lucas nodded. It's a universal dilemma, isn't it? How to balance knowledge and power without succumbing to the darker aspects of both. The conversation turned to the specifics of their collaboration. The Queen proposed that Jack and Lucas continue their work under a new framework, one that would involve deeper integration into their scientific community, but with strict guidelines on the dissemination of the knowledge they acquired. We would be honored, Jack said, aware of the significance of her offer. We understand the delicacy of the situation and promise to uphold the values you've taught us. As a token of this new phase of our partnership, the Queen added, I will grant you limited access to the archives within the chamber. With supervision, of course. We believe that shared knowledge leads to mutual respect and peace. The men agreed, deeply aware of the trust being placed in them. This access was not just a step forward in their project, but a significant gesture of diplomatic trust. As they walked back to the palace, Lucas murmured, Do you realize how rare this is? She's not just sharing technology. She's sharing her culture's very essence. Jack nodded, feeling the weight of their responsibilities. It's more than just a mission now, Lucas. It's about how we handle this knowledge and what we leave behind. The night deepened around them, the stars of the alien sky twinkling with the promise of new understanding. As they parted ways at the door to their quarters, the sense of a shared journey was palpable. They were no longer just visitors on this world. They were becoming a part of its ongoing story. Under the new agreement with Queen Sarana, Jack and Lucas dove deeper into their research and integration with the alien technology. They spent days alongside alien scientists and engineers, each session laden with the palpable thrill of cross-cultural and technological discovery. However, the Queen's decision to grant them limited access to the Forbidden Archives was yet to be implemented, adding an air of anticipation to their daily routines. One evening, as the alien city's twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the gleaming spires, Jack and Lucas sat in their shared living space discussing the day's findings. Today's session with the energy matrix was incredible, Jack said, his eyes alight with excitement. The way their tech interacts with natural elements, it's like nothing we have on Earth. Lucas nodded, poring over the notes on his digital pad. And yet, there's a simplicity to it, a harmony we've lost touch with. I can't help but think how much we could learn from just this aspect. The conversation was interrupted by a chime at their door. It was Kale, accompanied by two other figures they recognized as members of the Queen's Advisory Council. Jack, Lucas, the Queen invites you to the Forbidden Archives tonight, Kale announced, his tone formal but friendly. The moment they had been waiting for had arrived. They followed the group through the quiet, luminescent halls of the palace, the air thick with anticipation. The door to the archives was an ornate portal, etched with symbols that glowed softly in the dim light. Inside, the chamber was vast, the walls lined with shelves that reached the high ceiling, each filled with artifacts and scrolls of ancient knowledge. The center of the room held a large holographic interface, which the Queen was operating as they entered. Jack, Lucas, welcome, she greeted them, her voice echoing slightly in the vast space. Tonight, you are granted access to our most sacred knowledge. I trust it will be treated with the respect it deserves. We are deeply honored, Your Majesty, Lucas responded earnestly. The Queen activated the holographic display, bringing to life images of the planet's history, its ecological evolution, and the development of its societies. She narrated, offering insights into the triumphs and challenges her people had faced. As the presentation unfolded, Jack was drawn to a section of the archive dedicated to interstellar diplomacy. Your Majesty, may I? He asked, gesturing toward the interactive display. Of course, Jack, she replied, stepping aside to give him room. Jack navigated the interface, absorbing information on past diplomatic endeavors and treaties. There's a wealth of precedent here for peaceful coexistence, he remarked, visibly impressed. Lucas, meanwhile, was engrossed in a different section, one detailing the architectural evolution of their cities. Look at this, Jack, he called over, pointing to a blueprint of a city designed to thrive in harmony with its natural surroundings. Their approach could revolutionize urban development. They spent hours in the archives, each discovery leading to another, their minds racing with the potential applications of their findings. The Queen watched them, a look of satisfaction on her face. As the session drew to a close, Jack turned to her. Your Majesty, this has been more enlightening than I could have imagined. Your trust in sharing this with us is something we don't take lightly. Queen Sarana nodded. I believe in the power of shared knowledge. Tonight is but the first step in a long journey together. As they left the archives, the weight of their experiences hung between them. They were not just scientists or explorers now. They were custodians of a new bridge between worlds. Back in their quarters, Lucas couldn't hide his enthusiasm. "Can you imagine applying some of this at home?" he mused. Jack, thoughtful, replied, "It's not just about transferring technology. It's about what we bring back in spirit." This, he gestured in the air, encompassing their whole experience, is about changing how we see ourselves in the universe. Their conversation stretched into the night, ideas and philosophies intertwining like the stars above. For the first time, they truly grasped the depth of their mission. They weren't just visitors. They were integral threads in the fabric of an unfolding cosmic tapestry. Weeks had passed since Jack and Lucas were granted access to the Forbidden Archives, and their integration into the alien society had deepened. They had become familiar figures among the scholars and advisors, their insights valued and their presence welcomed. One clear evening, as the twin moons of the planet cast a serene glow over the palace gardens, Jack and Lucas attended a gathering hosted by Queen Sarana. It was a celebration of the ongoing collaboration, with members of the council and various dignitaries in attendance. As the evening unfolded, Jack found himself alone with Queen Sarana, walking along a secluded path in the garden. The conversation between them had gradually become more personal, straying from their usual discussions of technology and policy. "Your Majesty, I've been meaning to ask," Jack started, his tone reflective, "what inspired you to open the archives to us?" "It's a significant risk." Queen Sarana paused, turning to face him under the soft light of the moons. "In our history, those who dare to trust profoundly often forge the strongest alliances. Your sincerity and your respect for our ways moved me. I felt it was time for a leap of faith." Jack nodded, understanding the weight of her decision. "And I am grateful for that. This partnership has changed us in ways I had never anticipated." Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Lucas, who seemed slightly out of breath. "Jack, you need to see this," he said, holding up a device that displayed real-time data from their scientific exchanges. "What is it?" Jack asked, his interest piqued. "It's about the atmospheric processors we've been working on. They've achieved stability 2 months ahead of schedule." "It's a breakthrough," Lucas explained, his voice filled with excitement. Queen Sarana looked between the two men, a smile forming on her lips. "It seems your work continues to exceed expectations." The trio returned to the gathering, where Lucas shared the news with the council members. The atmosphere turned celebratory, the achievement a testament to the collaborative spirit that had enveloped their interactions. As the night deepened, the group dispersed, leaving Jack and Queen Sarana to resume their walk in the garden. The air was charged with a sense of accomplishment and mutual respect, which slowly shifted into a more intimate ambience. "Jack, I have grown to respect you deeply," the Queen said softly, stopping to face him beside the fountain in the heart of the garden. "Not just as a scientist, but as a person." Jack felt a surge of emotion. "And I, Your Majesty. This journey has been about more than just science. It's about understanding, about connection." They stood there for a moment, the sound of the fountain mingling with the gentle night breeze. Then, almost instinctively, they leaned closer, their first kiss a gentle acknowledgement of the bond that had formed between them. The kiss deepened, driven by the loneliness and profound connection they felt. They explored this new aspect of their relationship with a cautious passion, mindful of the implications yet driven by genuine feelings. "Jack," Sarana whispered after a moment, pulling back slightly to look into his eyes. "This is new for me, for us. It's about more than just attraction. It's about a connection that transcends our differences." Jack reached out, touching her face gently. "I feel it too. It's unexpected, but it feels right. We come from different worlds, but perhaps that's what makes this so special." Their night continued with tender moments shared under the stars, each touch and kiss a discovery. It wasn't just physical. It was an emotional journey that neither had anticipated, but both were willing to explore. As dawn approached, they agreed to continue their relationship discreetly, aware of the potential complications, but unwilling to deny the powerful connection they had discovered. Jack returned to his quarters, a mix of exhilaration and contemplation filling his thoughts. He knew the path ahead would be fraught with challenges, but for the first time in a long while, he felt a profound sense of belonging. The planet, once alien and daunting, now felt like a place where significant parts of his future could unfold. The relationship between Jack and Queen Sarana, though carefully concealed, began to subtly influence their interactions and the broader diplomatic relations. The success of their scientific collaborations had already fostered a new era of openness and mutual benefit, but now there was a personal element that added depth to their trust. Jack met with Lucas early in the morning at the balcony of their quarters, overlooking the city as it awakened to the soft light of its twin suns. Lucas had noticed the change in Jack and was eager to understand his friend's thoughts. "Jack, you've been different lately," Lucas started, handing Jack a cup of the local morning brew. "Happier, more grounded. It's more than just the work, isn't it?" Jack took a sip, considering how much to share. "It is," he admitted, looking out over the city. "Sarana and I have grown close. It's changed things, Lucas. For the better, I think." Lucas raised an eyebrow, surprised yet supportive. "That's significant, Jack. But are you sure it's wise? Our mission here." "It's precisely because of our mission here that it makes sense," Jack interjected. "Our relationship has given me, and through me, us, a deeper understanding of their culture and their needs. It aligns with our goals of building a bridge between our worlds." Lucas nodded, understanding the delicate balance his friend was navigating. "Just be careful, all right? We're still outsiders here." Their conversation was interrupted by a summons from the Queen. The council had called a special session, and their presence was requested. At the council chamber, Queen Sarana stood before her advisors and guests, her bearing regal yet open. "Today marks a milestone in our shared history," she began, her gaze encompassing the room. "Thanks to our combined efforts, and particularly the contributions of our guests, Jack and Lucas, we stand on the brink of a new chapter in interstellar cooperation." Jack and Lucas stood beside her, the respect of the assembly palpable. The Queen continued, outlining the proposed expansions of their collaboration, including shared missions, educational exchanges, and joint exploration initiatives. As the session concluded, a senior council member approached Jack and Lucas. "Your work has not only advanced our technology but our society. You've helped to break down barriers we didn't even realize existed." The sentiment was echoed by others as the meeting broke up, with many expressing a desire to visit Earth and learn from human culture as well. Back in the palace gardens, where many pivotal conversations had taken place, Jack and Sarana walked together one final time before his scheduled return to Earth to report on their progress. "Sarana, this isn't just goodbye, is it?" Jack asked quietly as they paused by the now familiar fountain. "It is an au revoir, I hope," Sarana replied, her voice tinged with emotion. "What we have started here goes beyond science or diplomacy. It's about hope and the future." Jack nodded, taking her hand. "I'll be back. We've started something incredible here, and I want to see it through. Not just for our planets, but for us." They shared a last, lingering look before Jack turned to leave, the promise of a return hanging in the air. Lucas and Jack walked back to their quarters in silence, each lost in thought about the future. As they packed their belongings for the journey back to Earth, Lucas spoke up. "You're really going to come back, aren't you?" Jack smiled, more certain than he had ever been. "Yes. There's more at stake now, more to build on. What we have with Sarana, with this world. It's worth coming back for." The two friends boarded their spacecraft, the horizon before them now not just a frontier to explore, but a home to return to. As the engines ignited, Jack looked back at the receding planet, his thoughts on Sarana and the uncharted future they were daring to create together.